Hello internet world, we are live again for another broadcast on the Geekanoids channel, and today's video is not only going to feature a Q&A session, but I'm also featuring two really cool products from Fujitsu. The first one is just sitting off to the right of me here, and I've got another one in the background that I'm going to show you a little bit later on. So the premise of today's video, or today's broadcast, is really to talk to you about one of the issues that I've had for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of you will actually be familiar with this issue, and that is the fact that we have so much paperwork to deal with. And before I talk to you about the product specifically, I would like to just ask everyone who's joined the broadcast to just let me know if you run your own business. Now, that could be your own business full-time, it could be a part-time business, or it could indeed be that you're a YouTube content creator. I know a lot of my viewers are in fact content creators as well. So if you run your own business, let me know in the chat what you do, and then I will talk to you a little bit about how something like this could possibly help you and how it's helped me, and also how this other product in the background here could help you in a very cool way, much better perhaps, or much better for some people than being tied to a desk with something like this. So the two products have got very different sort of audiences really. So let me know in the comment section. I can see some of you joined in already, so I'm going to say a few hellos to Daniel, Nigel, Ashish, Peter, Computer Boy, Elliot, and How to Do It by Tyler. Hello Tyler. I noticed a few of you saying you use the ScanSnap and Evernote. Nigel, who's an IT consultant, and also we've got Elliot, who is a photographer, and Nigel is also saying that it's investment bank trading is the sort of area or industry he works in. Now, for those of you who've just joined in to the live stream, again, thank you very much for joining us. Today I'm going to be talking about the Fujitsu ScanSnap iX500, which is a document scanner. So I'm going to be talking to you about how this can really help in your business. And then after I've talked about this product for a little while, I'll open it up to a Q&A session, which can either be about the ScanSnap or about anything tech related. Before I do that again, I'll just put a shout out to all of you who've just joined the broadcast. If you run your own business, if you're self-employed, let me know in the chat as well. And also, another question for you is, do you struggle or do you really get frustrated with the piles and piles of paperwork you have to deal with? And that can be things like receipts, invoices, product brochures, any sort of document, bank statements, utility bills, anything at all that creates this overwhelming amount of paperwork that comes into our homes and into our businesses. And it is or it can be an absolute nightmare. Now, speaking from my own experience, not only have I had my own house for getting on for about 20 years now, I've also been self-employed for about the same amount of time, and I have to deal with a lot of paperwork, so much, and it is a big problem. Not only the fact that you have to deal with so much paperwork, but also the fact that you have to be able to find paperwork as well. And what I mean by that is, even when I'm looking at some of my documents relating to instruction manuals for products, I know a lot of these are available now as PDFs, but back in the day they weren't. Being able to create something that's searchable and easily findable is very good indeed, really useful. And that applies to all of the documents I personally handle. Things like invoices, being able to scan those and convert them into searchable PDFs is absolutely fantastic. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about this specific product. This is the Fujitsu ScanSnap iX500. This is a desktop scanner, so it's quite big, not as big as a printer. It weighs quite a bit as well. Let me give you a little bit of a close-up of this. This is what it looks like. So it sort of does look like a little mini printer, but it is in fact a scanner. And the idea behind a product like this is you put your documents in the back here, and you can load up more than one. In fact, this has got a capacity of about 50 A4 sheets that can be loaded into the automatic document scanner. This can be pulled down as well to capture the documents that are actually being scanned and are going to come out after they've been scanned. And this particular model actually scans both sides of the paper at the same time. So you're not having to scan one side and then put all the sheets back through. It can do both at the same time. Now I'll give you a few little specifications about this. So with one button, you can actually scan and create a searchable PDF from the document you're scanning. It scans a full colour document in approximately 5 seconds. Oh no, I got that wrong. I'm going to correct that. It actually does 25 pages per minute. So a lot quicker than that, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that's about 2.5 seconds. 50 sheets in the automatic document feeder. It connects via USB 3, or it is backward compatible with older versions of USB as well. It works with Windows PC. It also works with Mac, which I'm happy about because I primarily use the Mac operating system. Also, it can scan to an iOS or an Android device as well, which is really cool. It comes complete in the box with Windows and Mac software, and it scans at a resolution of 600 dpi. Now, the maximum size you can do with this sort of fast automatic document feeder with 25 pages per minute is A4, but you can also use a carrier which allows you to actually scan A3 documents, which I think is really useful for larger sort of documents. 209 grams is the maximum weight you can put through it. Most paper is normally 80 grams or 70 grams when it's an invoice or something like that. Some sort of brochures might come on sort of 160 gram papers. You're going to be able to scan most of the things that come through your letterbox or into your business or into your home. And the really nice feature, and one of the real highlights of this, is being able to scan direct to the cloud and that double-sided scanner as well. So the duplex scanning, where it's got two scanners, sort of top and bottom, and as the page goes through, it scans both sides at the same time. And then being able to have that as a searchable PDF file is really fantastic. Now, I've been using a document scanner for a long time. It cuts down on all the paperwork in my business, and when I need to find something, I can just search for it. So it's very cool indeed. Highly recommended as well for any business user. So this is the Fujitsu ScanSnap IX500. Now, if this is too big for you, I'm going to talk to you about another scanner in a very short while. But before I do so, I will just take some comments and questions. So if you've got any questions at all, please do leave them in the comment section below. So what have we got here? I'm going to say some hellos again to Demetrios, to Chris, to Nick Curley, and to Yue. I hope I pronounced that correctly, and also to Cole Malone and Simon and Casper as well. Colm actually asked something not related to the scanner, which is absolutely fine. Great question as well. Can you do a review of the OnePlus 3T? Now, I review a lot of technology on the Geekanoids channel. Thoroughly enjoy it, as you know, and I do actually review a lot of smartphones. OnePlus are a company that used to send products out. I don't know whether they've just got too big, but they certainly haven't responded to my requests for the OnePlus 3T. If I can get hold of one either direct from OnePlus or from one of their partners, then I certainly will bring a review or a video about it on the channel in the future. Looks like a really great value smartphone, although in the UK I know the prices did go up quite considerably about a month or so ago. Next question from Simon. Hello Dave. Hello Simon. How much time have you saved now you're doing live versions of the videos? It must be good going forward with the time management. It's not really a time saver because I'm still creating my regular videos, which I sit in the editing room and edit and upload on a regular basis. what it's allowing me to do, and the reason I started doing these live broadcasts, was initially to obviously test the new YouTube Live app and also the super chat feature, which was really heavily used a couple of broadcasts ago. But it was also because I like the interaction. When I'm doing a regular review video, so if I reviewed this in a normal video, I get some questions and comments after I've published the video, but I don't get this instant reaction. So, you know, the comments really do help. So that's why primarily I started doing the live broadcasts. Now I've just had a notification saying that I've got a bad connection at the moment, so apologies if the actual quality of the video drops. Hopefully it will pick up. So do bear with it if you're finding it a little bit sort of stuttery at the moment. Hopefully that connection will improve and we'll get some really good quality video coming out through the live broadcast. So what other questions have we got? Colm says, I watched your old video today reviewing the old iPod Classic. Your quality has improved immensely and you lost a lot of weight since then. Thank you very much. Yes, I did lose a lot of weight over the past few years. Primarily just a more active lifestyle has done that. Things like this, the Fitbit Charge HR2 or Charge 2 this is, really very, very good. It sort of gives me that motivation. And once you get on that sort of ball of getting out and being more active, it sort of snowballs like that and you continue doing it. So that's why. And yes, my presenting has become a lot better because I'm a lot more comfortable in front of the camera, and that only came with a great deal of practice. So I was never confident in front of the camera before. Any more questions? We got another question from Nigel. It says, I scan everything into Evernote. However, concern is how safe is our data in the cloud? Yeah, that is a big concern. And in fact, when that transition started happening, probably about 1.5 years, 2 years ago for me, I was keeping local copies of everything. And I was still very, very worried about data security in the cloud. And I think things have improved a lot more since then. We've got encryption of our data. We've also got two-factor authentication on a lot of services. So it is a lot better than it used to be. So I'm going to move on to the next product very shortly. Before I do so, I'll just say a hello to Alex. Thank you for tuning in again into the live broadcast. I really do appreciate it. And I've also got one more thing to show you before I show you this other scanner. Now, I use Thunderbolt devices, and StarTech sent me their Thunderbolt cables. These work with Thunderbolt 3 or USB-C. They are compatible with both of those protocols. And this one here is a 1.5 foot one. They also do a 6.5 foot one. And then the one I've got in my hand here is a 3 foot cable. And the reason I'm just highlighting this is because you can get some really cheap and nasty cables on the likes of eBay and Amazon. And I experienced real problems with a couple of cables that I did buy cheaply, but StarTech are really high quality. This is what the packaging looks like. They are again available on Amazon and good retailers. And these are going to be used a lot more with something like my MacBook Pro, because this has of course got Thunderbolt 3 and USB-C on it. And we're also seeing a lot more docks come through from various manufacturers. In fact, I've got another dock in from CalDigit, which is their new Thunderbolt 3 dock. And these are going to be a lot more useful when more and more devices come onto the market like that. So if you want a good quality cable, these StarTech ones, I can personally recommend. I've never had an issue using any of them. So for those of you who are new into the broadcast, I'll just recap very slightly. The Fujitsu ScanSnap IX500 is a desktop automatic document fed scanner. Allows you to scan direct to the cloud, direct to your desktop computer. You can create searchable PDFs, but something like this isn't suitable for everyone. I'm going to move on to show you a really good solution for if you are out and about and you need document scanning. Before I do so, I'm going to say a big thank you to Nigel Harrison. Thank you for your super chat donation. I really do appreciate it. Nigel, you are a star. Thank you very much for your support. All of the support that comes into the channel, whether that be through the super chat donations or just through you tweeting and sharing my videos, I really do appreciate it. But a big thank you to Nigel. I'm going to take Nigel's question first before I move on to the other scanner. Quick question, I see tweets from Geekanoids during the early hours in the UK. Can I ask what you use to automatically tweet throughout the morning? Of course you can, Nigel. I use a service called Buffer. There is a free and a paid service as well on it. You can get a desktop application. I think it sort of only runs in a browser though on the desktop, so you can use it on Windows, PC, Chromebook, whatever sort of operating system you're using. You can also get an iOS app. I'm pretty sure by now they'll have an Android app as well, and you can connect it to all different services. You can connect it to Twitter, Facebook, I think they do Instagram as well now, and a few other services as well. And then you can allow it to sort of analyze your interaction with your audience, and when it does that, it will automatically work out the best time for your buffer, so your list of buffered tweets, for example, to actually be shared publicly. And I load my buffer up sort of once a day. You get to a certain limit unless you're on the paid version. I'm still on the free version, by the way, and then it tweets them out at those specific times. Really great services. It's a little bit fussy sometimes it falls over, but for the most part it is a great service. So great question, hope that's helped you out, Nigel. Let's move on to this product here. Now I mentioned this is a desktop scanner, so it's not for everyone. This is the ScanSnap iX100. So this is a portable document scanner, and this is what it looks like. This is amazing. Look at this. Tiny little scanner. Now it works in the same way as this, except it only does one side at a time. And you just open this up like so, and then you pull this flap down like so, and as you pull it down you can see the little LED light come on. So this is now turned on, so you don't need to have it plugged in. It's got an internal battery, and it will connect to your Wi-Fi network. You can turn Wi-Fi off and on over the back, and this has got some really great features. Again, one button scanning, so you've got the button here, and you can scan the same documents, A4 or smaller, or with the carrier you can go up to A3 size. This will actually scan a colour document one side in 5.2 seconds. You can scan wirelessly to PC, Mac, iOS and Android devices. So if you're out and about and you've got the app, you can scan with your iOS or Android device. How cool is that? It's got a USB connection on the side here. Paper input obviously goes in the top here, and then the path comes through and it ejects out the front. Up to 209 grams of paperweight, again exactly the same as the desktop version, and 600 DPI, again exactly the same as the desktop version. The main difference is this is a little bit slower, it's obviously a lot smaller, and it does one side at a time. So if you've got a double-sided document, in this one it'll do both sides at the same time, and in the little iX100 it does one side at a time. But this is a perfect solution for if you have to scan documents whilst you're on the go. Really very cool indeed, and really well made. And I love the fact that when you close this, you've got a nice portable package, and it actually powers down automatically. Very cool indeed. So this is the ScanSnap iX100, and again, a great solution to get your business or indeed your personal life paperless. Get rid of all those piles of junk paper or bills and invoices that you have to keep for your records, and scan them all into PDF documents, or again straight up to the cloud or to a thumb drive, wherever you're going to scan them to. These are great solutions, so really highly recommended. And again, I have used document scanning for a long time. In fact, I'll take you for a little quick trip down memory lane, and then I'll take some more questions. I can remember years and years ago, this must be around about 1998 roughly, if memory serves me correctly, maybe a little bit later than that, maybe 2000. I was in the graphic design industry. Prior to that, I was actually an IBM engineer, but that's going back too far. So I was in the graphic design industry, and I can remember when I used to look at the flatbed scanners, because there wasn't digital cameras back then. So people used to bring photographs into the graphic design agency I worked for, and you used to scan them on the flatbed scanner. You used to do slides and negatives as well. And I would look at these flatbed scanners and go over the specifications in much the same way as I look at technology now. And I'd be going, wow, look at the resolution of this. And you used to get dust removal and scratch removal. And flatbed scanners are still around now, of course, but they're not in the sort of spotlight of the tech industry anymore, because so much of what we do now is digital. We've got digital cameras, we've got smartphones, etc. So flatbed scanners are no longer a necessity for a lot of people or businesses, but something like this has brought the scanner back into my sort of daily use and is really useful. So very, very good indeed. But anyway, that trip down memory lane is done. Leave me some questions in the comment section. We'll open this up now for a Q&A. If you've got any questions at all about the scanners or technology in general, just leave them in the comment section below. So let's have a look at the questions. We've got a question here from Jan Vechatsa. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Jan, or Jan, it might be. What do you think about Android? Will you switch to Android from iOS? Well, being a tech reviewer, I'm in that privileged position, and I'm really grateful for it, where I get to experience all of these new smartphones that come out, and I really do love it. The Android operating system has matured so much over the years that the difference between iOS and Android is very, very small now. But I'm in, at the moment, because I'm transitioning across with my editing from Mac to Windows, but at the moment, especially with my sort of mobile computing, I'm sort of in the Apple ecosystem still. Whether that will be forever, I don't know, because I've got problems with the way Apple are updating things at the moment. But for the time being, I really appreciate iOS and the way it interacts and synchronizes. But when I use Google Android and an Android smartphone, I don't miss iOS now as much. So will I ever switch? Well, never say never. That's what I'd say. There are some great smartphones out there. In fact, I'm recording this particular broadcast on the iPhone 7 Plus. I had intended to do this particular broadcast on the Samsung Galaxy A5, the 2017 version, but the front-facing camera wasn't up to scratch. So I'm going to try and get in a Sony Xperia XA, which looks absolutely fantastic with regards to the specification, the aperture and that front-facing camera. Larger screen as well, so I'll be able to see the chat on the screen of the smartphone rather than relying on my laptop. So I'm going to try that as well, and I'll let you know what I think of the Xperia XA. I think it's the XA Ultra actually that I've got coming in. So you know, I like Android. It's a very stable operating system. I really do like it and appreciate the competition's good as well. Competition between iOS and Android definitely is a very, very good thing. Benny asks, how's Windows been lately? In my previous live broadcast, I talked about my switch of the editing suite in the editing room from Mac OS to an Alienware Aurora R6 running Windows 10 Pro. It's pretty much the same from when I updated you a couple of days ago. The system is very, very fast, but I'm still experiencing problems with Adobe Premiere Pro, the very latest version, Creative Cloud 2017. Still experiencing problems with that crashing. I've been in contact with tech support, but it's still not resolved. So my editing has sort of grind to a halt on the Windows platform for now, but it will resume once I've got those issues solved. I might even try a different application. So if you've got any suggestions for video editing applications, let me know. These have got to be Windows based ones. Let me know in the comment section below. Next question is from El Tracel. How many documents have you scanned in a row? Well, you can do 50 because you can load this up with 50, and then you can actually resume it and actually add those to the PDF file. So you can scan 50 documents, let it run out, and then click resume, do another 50, click resume, do another 50. I think the most I've ever done is probably about 80, something like that, 80 pages. and it was absolutely rock solid, very, very stable software. Alex Anderson. Alex asks, are you going to get the new iPhone and the iPad as usual this year, Dave? Alex, do you really need to ask that? Seeing as you've asked it, I will honour you with an answer. Yes, most definitely. I'll be getting the new iPhone. I'll be getting the new iPad if they do an iPad Air 3, for example. And I'll also get the new iPad Pro. If they announce new iPad Pros and they announce this new version that's a size in between the current ones, I'll probably go for the mid-sized one. The only one I probably won't get in is the iPad Mini. I have tried that on many occasions. It's just not for me because the size of it is so, it's not close, but it's pretty close to my iPhone 7 Plus. But in answer to your question, most definitely yes. And I'm very excited to learn what they're going to be announcing. Life Tips UK has asked, how do you get the comment to appear in large green like that? You're referring, so Life Tips UK, you're referring to Nigel Harrison's comment, which is highlighted in green. If you look at the chat window, assuming you're on a desktop or a mobile device that supports Super Chat, you'll see a little dollar symbol or a little pound symbol, and you can actually donate to the channel, and then depending upon how much you donate, actually highlights your question or highlights your comment, and it goes right at the top, and everyone can see that you've supported the Geekanoids channel. So that's how you do it. And this is a new feature as well. It's something that only came out, it's been in beta testing, but it's only been released to channels with 10,000 subscribers or more for roughly about a week and a half. Let's see what other questions we've got. Kieran Donnelly asked, do you think the iPhone 7S or 8 or whatever they call it will have smaller bezels and wireless charging? Yes, I do think it will have that. I think it will definitely have smaller bezels. From what we've seen in the rumours, it's going to be a really cool new design. And wireless charging, I'm not so sure about. I'd like to see it there. I know Apple sort of hold back on features whilst the competition seems to sort of go ahead of them, and then they do something that changes the way wireless charging will work. So if they do it, it'll probably be Apple's take on wireless charging, and they call it something magical, of course. So I'm not so sure on wireless charging, but definitely the other. And Nigel, you're my man. Another £2 donation from Nigel in the super chat to demonstrate that if you do that super chat feature, your comment or question gets highlighted in a colour. So thank you again, Nigel, for demonstrating how that works. I really do appreciate it. Callum Bell asks, hi again. Had to quit your last stream early, so not sure if you answered this already. Have you seen an effect on tech products due to Brexit? Haven't seen an effect on the actual products. We've seen some price rises, which some of the tech news websites have attributed to Brexit. Whether or not that's the real reason, whether or not the tech companies are using Brexit as a reason to raise the prices, I'm not sure. But we have seen some price increases. And indeed, I think even Apple did some price increases on the App Store, which was put down to these sort of fluctuations in currency and exchange rates. So possibly we will see that effect on things costing a little bit more, but you know, that's going to happen anyway. Even without Brexit, you'll still see price increases. Any more questions coming in? This has been great. So many questions. Really do like it. We've got Craig Jones. What are your thoughts on cord cutting? And have you taken any steps to completely cutting the cord? Honest answer to that is no, I really haven't. It's something I would like to look into and possibly research some more. And maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next live broadcast. So brilliant question, but no, it's not something I've looked into personally. Sophie G, do you still own the MacBook 12-inch or did you return it? I didn't keep the 12-inch MacBook. It was a great machine, very, very powerful. I just found it a little bit too small for me. When I replaced my previous MacBook Pro, I went for another 15-inch version as well because I needed the larger laptop and the better processing power. But that 12-inch MacBook, fantastic. I know a lot of people that own that and they're really pleased with both the performance of it and of course how lightweight and portable it is as well. Next question comes from Indanandri. Dave, did you troubleshoot the Adobe Creative Cloud PC? Yes, I have had some emails with tech support going backwards and forwards, and they are trying to help me resolve it. What I'm probably going to actually do is completely reinstall Windows and put Creative Cloud on first, so that I can eliminate any of the other utilities that I've put on that computer, and then we're going to work from there. That's the game plan so far. We have also got Alex saying he's watching over 3G with Virgin Media, so I have to go. Thanks for the stream, my friend. So you tuned in mobile on 3G data. I appreciate you watching, Alex. Have a fantastic evening. Next question is from Callum Ball. Do you think the upgrade from HD to 4K is worth it, especially with how much the prices are dropping now? If you're referring to consuming 4K, so an HD television compared to a 4K television, Blu-ray player at 1080p compared to a 4K Blu-ray player, prices are tumbling. So the sort of time to get a 4K television, it will also get cheaper, of course, over the next sort of year, but it is a good time. The prices are really good. If you're talking about creation of 4K video, well, of course, that's readily accessible now because a lot of smartphones actually record in 4K. With regards to things like mirrorless cameras and DSLRs, then yes, they're some really good value cameras. The Panasonic G7, for example, amazing value, and it records really, really good quality, very crisp 4K video, microphone input on it. What more could you want? And although not everyone watches in 4K, and I've said this in previous videos as well, if you've got a 4K camera, it doesn't mean you've got to publish in 4K. What you can do is you can take that 4K footage, and when you're editing it, you can actually put it on a 1080p timeline, so a full HD timeline, and then it gives you that ability to digitally zoom up to 4 times without any perceivable loss in quality. So you've got that advantage as well, and it allows you to make it look as though you've got more than one camera. So for example, if I was recording this in 4K, when I'm editing it, I could actually zoom in to the scanner over here, or I could zoom in to the scanner over here, and it would make it look as though I've got 3 different cameras. So that's one way you can go as well. And you are right, prices are dropping considerably now, and that will only continue. And then we get 8K cameras, of course, which will be the new super expensive cameras. They are already available, of course, from Red. So anyway, that's a whole another broadcast to talk about cameras. Indamandri again asks, Dave, does the Sony a6500 overheat? How is your experience with Sony cameras while recording long videos? I've recorded 32 minutes of footage on the Sony a6500 and it didn't overheat. Whether or not it's still getting hot inside is another question, but what Sony basically did was they enabled you to choose a menu option where you can tell it not to warn you about heat generating inside the camera to give you a longer recording time. My concern is that will damage the camera in the long term. Only time will tell, but certainly I've not had any overheating issues with the Sony a6500. We've also got a question from Craig Jones. Speaking of 4K, what's your perspective on Canon's new line of mirrorless cameras not supporting 4K video? Do you have any recommendations for entry-level competitors? Well, I did actually tweet Canon UK about this. The Canon range of cameras are fantastic, really well built, great features. I love the Canon colour in the videos, I really do. The dual pixel CMOS AF, I think that's what they're calling it, is brilliant. One of the best sort of AF systems that has now filtered its way down into the new Canon EOS M6. But alas, and you are right, the latest generation, I think they launched 3 different cameras, the A77, well not the A77, the 77D, the 800D and the Canon EOS M6. And all 3 of them have got dual pixel CMOS AF, but they only record 1080p at 60 frames per second. And I did tweet Canon about this, saying that people want 4K to filter down. And the reason Canon don't do this is they don't want to harm the sales of their higher grade cameras, the Cinema line, and also things like the 5D Mark IV and the 1D X Mark II. They don't want to harm sales of those cameras. And Yes, of course, it is meaning you've got that pedestal up there with the higher grade cameras, but you're also harming your overall sales because so many of your competitors are launching cameras at similar price points that do 4K. And you asked for any sort of recommendations. Well, the camera I mentioned a short while ago, the Panasonic Lumix DMC G7, is absolutely fantastic for the money. I forget the price, but I think it's around about £699, £700, something like that. And you're getting really good 4K video. So I think Canon really need to think long and hard about this, and with their next generation of cameras, they need to let 4K filter down. They're perfectly capable of doing it. And if they did that Canon EOS M6 with 4K video capability, they would have been onto a winner. Flip up screen, microphone input, dual pixel AF as well, so really rock solid autofocus and 4K. They'd have sold so many. It would have been the best vlogging camera of 2017. So I think they've made a big mistake there. Anyway, let's go on to just a few more questions. Benny asked, what problems have I had with Adobe Premiere CC? It's mainly ingesting video off of SD cards. It crashes quite a lot when I'm doing that, and also even crashes and hangs when I'm exporting as well. Extremely slow. It sort of grinds to a halt. Next question from Simon. Simon says, how much is a 4K player? The 4K players you can pick up for around about £230 now. Samsung do one. The 4K Blu-ray discs are normally between sort of £17.99 up to about £30. So you are paying a premium, but it is really very good indeed. Very crisp. And something else that makes a big difference is HDR. Wow. When you've seen it, you won't want to go back to something, to sort of an older technology. El Tracel asks, have you made any reviews on the Surface Pro 4? Yes, if you search back on the channel, just type into YouTube Geekanoids Surface Pro 4, you'll find my videos on that. Really great tablet hybrid type system. And Nick Curley asks a very relevant question. What do you think of Nikon's huge financial loss? I think it's very sad. One of my first film SLR cameras was a Nikon, and they make some great products. And to see them actually pull the Nikon DL range and also announce these really big losses is very sad. I just hope that they can recover from it. If they can just hang on in there and produce another couple of great cameras to get people sort of invigorated and interested in the brand again, then I think they'll be okay. I think they will be okay. But yeah, it is very sad. And what else have we got? Benny says the Lumix G7 cost him £400 with a kit lens. Wow, that is so good. That is such an amazing price. Very good indeed. So you've got some great questions here. I can't believe that I've had so many people come into the live stream. I really do appreciate it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually stream for a little bit longer because I'm just loving the questions. I love the Q&As, I really do. You probably noticed this when I publish my regular pre-recorded Q&As, that it just makes me light up because I love talking about technology. We got some more questions here. What do you think about the Nokia 3310 being re-released from Callum Ball? That is great news because, again, Nokia is a brand that I'm very fond of. Some of my earliest phones, when they were just dumb phones that could only do calls and texts, were of course Nokias. I have got a plan to get a Nokia 150 in for myself, and I want to use that and actually switch off my social media throughout the day and just see how much time that gains me back. So that's something I really want to try in the future. So I think it'd be great if they do actually relaunch the 3310. Next question is from, I can't read your username, I'm really sorry. I am an enthusiast in photography. I'm using the 80D and a Canon lens. Want to switch to full frame. Among so many lines of camera in Canon house, which full frame do you suggest? If budget is no issue at all, so if you've got unlimited budget and you can afford it, then the Canon 1DX Mark II, excuse me. If budget's a little bit more limited, then the Canon 5D Mark IV, or sorry, I think it's the Mark V out now. Whatever the latest Canon is, I've got my model numbers. Let me just search it. Canon 5D Mark IV. So this is the latest full frame from Canon, the 5D Mark IV, and that is going to get you 4K video, and it's also going to get you a really great full frame camera. But if you do go for the 5D Mark IV, then do bear in mind that when you're recording in 4K, you do get quite a severe crop. So it's going to sort of crop right in onto the central portion of the sensor. It means you can't get as wide an angle on your shots unless you invest in really wide angle lenses. I don't think the 1DX Mark II has as big a crop. So either of those two, if you want to stay with Canon. If you want to move away from Canon, maybe consider something like the Panasonic GH5, which is coming out very, very soon. No crop at all, uses the full sensor, and is going to be awesome. It really is. I've got one coming into the studio. So what other questions have we got? I think that's pretty much it. Hello to Eric, who has just come onto the broadcast. I was just actually going to finish the broadcast, but Eric, you've bought us another minute. I joke. I'm going to broadcast for another 5 minutes, probably till 6:45. Craig Jones asks again, with regards to the Nikon loss, do you think that the progress made in smartphone cameras has been one of the main contributing factors? I don't think so. Well, I think it's had a bit of an effect, but it's not the main factor. I think the real reason for Nikon's loss is because they invested a lot of money in that Nikon DL range. They've also launched or tried to get into the action camera scene with their key mission cameras, which weren't fantastic quality. They were just okay. And I think that's made them a loss as well. And then obviously cancelling the Nikon DL range makes them a loss as well. We also had some natural disasters which did cause some damage to properties and camera manufacturers, and that probably had an issue or a knock-on effect with them as well. And I think you've had all of those failings, and also the Nikon One system, their mirrorless system, they obviously haven't updated that in a while, and maybe that's falling to the wayside. So maybe they just need to refocus on their core values and their core products, the DX and FX range of cameras, and maybe that will enable them to survive. So, you know, there's so many contributing factors and some that we'll probably never even know. So I just hope that they do survive. So anyway, I think that is pretty much it. People are saying, my tea is ready. Well, in fact, I have already eaten, but my voice is going, as it always does in these live broadcasts. So, I'm going to take one last question from Eric. Do you think 8K screen resolutions and higher are coming way too quickly to the tech scene? I don't think we can ever have it too quickly. I really don't. I think that the fact that 8K screens are coming out is a good thing, because it means 4K prices will drop. I don't think it's happening too fast. I think the technology is maturing at a nice pace now. And I think that the early adopters that are going to invest in 4K cameras to create 4K content and then display that on, 8K cameras to do 8K content and then display that on maybe 4K televisions, which obviously results in still a better image because you're starting off with better sort of footage to start with, I think is a good thing. And I love the way I see technology trickle down and we get this real improvement in specifications, and the prices are always on the side of the consumer eventually. So we're seeing 4K in a lot of consumer products now, and in 2 or 3 years time we'll see the same with 8K. So I know what you mean, it can seem too fast, and sometimes we feel a little bit like guinea pigs because we're sort of beta testers sometimes for some of the technology, but I do think it's very exciting, and it just makes me so enthusiastic about the future of tech. An 8K camera, wow, what I would do to be able to record in 8K and then down edit that to 4K and still get that sort of zooming function in the editing that I talked about previously with 4K down to full HD. That would be absolutely amazing. Imagine the computer I'd need to have though to edit in 8K. Wow. I'd have to edit what's called proxy media and then output a full resolution later. Neil Clark says, hi Dave, great live stream once again. I've recently been test driving DaVinci Resolve and Fusion 8 for my videos and have been blown away by the features. Have you considered them? I did install DaVinci Resolve on the Alienware Aurora R6, but I found that it just didn't gel well with me. I didn't like the workflow so much. And I was really determined with getting Adobe Premiere Pro, which I'm familiar with. I talked about this a little bit in the previous live stream. I need to be able to edit and still continue my workflow because I publish videos pretty much every day. So to learn a new application from scratch, I need to set aside some time for that. And Adobe Premiere Pro is something I've used previously, so I was hoping I'd be able to just dive straight in and start editing, but had these system problems as well. And then I've still got commercial videos to produce for the other side of my business. So thus I'm still editing a little bit on the Mac Pro whilst I try and sort these other problems out. But DaVinci Resolve does look like a very capable program, and it's really good of you to bring that to the attention of the other people in the live stream. So anyway, that really is it for this live stream. I really do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Thank you so much for the super chats as well, Nigel, and thank you to everyone for all of your great questions. In closing, I will just remind you that if you do want to get a paperless office, if you want to get rid of all of the stacks of paper on your desk and in your filing cabinets and into the cloud or onto a disk or some sort of storage media, then the Fujitsu ScanSnap IX500 or indeed the smaller IX100 are well worth considering. So that's it for the live stream. Have a fantastic day or evening wherever you are, and I'll see you again in another video very soon.